Last Friday, Justin Trudeau, the Prime Minister of Canada, flew down to Mar-a-Lago to meet with Trump and his team to discuss tariffs. I think it's crazy how far we've come when Jimmy Carter had to put up his peanut farm into a blind trust because of conflicts of interest, when today this kind of stuff is going on. It's absolutely crazy. The corruption is nuts. Let's go ahead and look at some highlights and then talk about it.
We also love this event from Mar-a-Lago. Justin Trudeau made his way down to meet with President-elect Donald Trump. He also was at a dinner table, you can see there, with Howard Lutnick, the incoming Secretary of Commerce, and his wife. North Dakota Governor Doug Burgum, incoming lead of the Interior Department, and his wife, and Mike Waltz, Trump's choice to be National Security Advisor, along with his wife. You can also see there the Senator-elect from Pennsylvania, Dave McCormick.
Let's go ahead and introduce the people at the table with Trump, because I think it's important to really get a grasp of just how much corruption is going on right now. So Howard Lutnick is the Commerce Secretary nominee for the Trump administration. He's known as the most ruthless businessman in America. He's the CEO of Cantor Fitzgerald, an investment firm. He's currently having meetings on Capitol Hill where he's bringing people in and then talking to them about his business as well as the government. So there's definitely a conflict of interest there. Howard cut off the paychecks for over 700 missing employees just 4 days after the 9/11 towers fell. He'll also have a lead role in broadband internet, which I'm sure that Musk will love and benefit from. In 2023, Doug Burgum signed the most strict abortion ban across the whole United States. He was paying people $20 in gift cards for political donations towards his campaign. He threatened Minnesota with legal action over their clean energy legislation. He basically did a complete 180. He was pretty principled, but then he just became a complete sellout, changed his policies completely for political gain, and now he finds himself in the White House. Mike Waltz is a complete lunatic warhawk. He wants to go start fighting Iran. If you thought Iraq was bad, wait until we get into Iran. They're much bigger and much stronger. I also remember that he's totally against climate change. He doesn't believe in climate change at all. And then also he wants to censor people in Congress that he disagrees with, such as people like AOC and the Squad. The dude's a complete lunatic. Dave McCormick is another CEO of a giant company, except this one seems to be a very toxic place to work. Several women have came forward and made sexual assault allegations against the company, and Dave was actually caught trying to cover it up. Furthermore, in 2024, a lot of people thought that the election was going to come down to Pennsylvania and specifically Philadelphia. So what he did was try to gum up the process with legal challenges in advance to try to be ready for that.
Trudeau bought some of his cabinet as well to have this dinner, where they wanted to discuss the proposed tariffs Donald Trump has talked about with Canada and Mexico.
Yeah, this sounds like a super fun dinner conversation. Well, let's look at those proposed tariffs that were discussed at that dinner. 25% on Canadian and Mexican goods, 10% on all Chinese goods, 41% of total trade to the U.S. is from Mexico, China, and Canada. We're looking at a total of $3.1 trillion of goods.
That are imported total.
That are imported totally. You know, this is a big deal because we don't export as much to them as they send
China
to us.
Specifically.
Yeah. And so this is a big deal. I mean, you know, Justin Trudeau and Donald Trump ideologically opposed, and yet you see Justin Trudeau. I'm going to read you this quote. You're going to see how conciliatory he is. He's not messing around. He understands he can't play games here. This will deeply affect Canada. And so this is a quote from him earlier on Friday. He says, ultimately, it's through lots of real constructive conversations with President Trump that I'm going to have that will keep us moving forward on the right track for all Canadians. It's important to understand that Donald Trump, when he makes statements like that, he plans on carrying them out. There is no question about it.
That could not have been written by Caroline Leavitt and been better for Trump. Like, that is absolutely what Trump wants people to hear and read. And maybe it was coordinated. I think he's genuine when he says that. But what he's saying is, hey, that strategy that President Trump campaigned on and told you would work, it's working. It's working on me as the Prime Minister of Canada.
Trudeau, like many other global leaders, offered Trump occasional flattery and hoped to try to get favorable policy towards them, which oftentimes it works. They're really making themselves look extremely foolish in this clip because the entire time Trump has been saying he's going to tariff China, for example, up to 60% or more. And they're talking about how Trump always does what he says he's going to do. And then they show that he's doing 10%. So they're kind of not making a whole lot of sense.
There was a similar situation with Mexico last week. Now, that president, she's come back and kind of She obviously got pushed back, I think, afterwards. But the end statement was, we're going to work with you here, from both Canada and Mexico now. And Trump's promise was that he probably wouldn't have to put these tariffs into effect. The threat of the tariffs and them knowing he'll follow through will get us the result we want. And I want to make sure Americans know the result we want is a secure border, is fentanyl and bad people staying outside our country. And I think that if our neighbors or our friends, like Biden wanted to say, then they should want that for us too.
The border is one of the issues. The other thing is Donald Trump actually believes this could be a good revenue stream. He's talking about using the money from these tariffs to help pay for some of the tax cuts he wants to bring back, but more importantly, to lower the deficit, which, you know, we're at $35 trillion now.
Okay, so Trump wants to use the tariffs to lower the deficit and pay for the tax cuts. But a quick Google search will show anybody that tariffs are paid for by the consumer. Trump's first round of tax cuts went overwhelmingly for rich people. The second round of tax cuts will go overwhelmingly for rich people as well. Do you know who's going to benefit from that? These people and these people. That means that you are going to be paying for their tax cuts. Furthermore, if they were so worried about the deficit, why aren't they talking about the fact that Trump doubled the deficit compared to Biden? It was $8.4 trillion spent by Trump and only $4.3 trillion spent by Biden. Why aren't they talking about that?
He's saying within a year we could, maybe bring that back by over $1 trillion.
Well, Stephen Moore, the co-founder of the Committee to Unleash Prosperity, was on Fox and Friends earlier to talk about these tariffs.
I think the outcome is going to be positive for the United States and for Canada and Mexico. I mean, we all should join together. The whole Reagan vision was that North America would be a large free trade zone. Well, part of free trade cannot be allowing these chemicals and these drugs into our country. I mean, it's so obvious.
This guy has absolutely no idea what he's talking about. Reagan was a horrible president. Reaganomics have been a complete failure. Reagan's tax cuts overwhelmingly helped the rich and not average workers. Since then, the gap between regular people and the rich has continued to grow, and it all started under Reagan. Furthermore, if you actually look at the drugs coming in, I'm all for stopping the drugs, but since 2019 to 2024, a study shows 80% of drugs seized at the border or the ports of entry have been from American citizens. It's Americans that are coming in with the drugs. Only 20% are from Mexicans or Canadians. It's also important to point out that America is kind of to blame for this. We had a terrible foreign policy in regards to South America. There was a time when we wanted to defeat communism, so what we did was we helped authoritarian leaders get into power. We overthrew certain countries, we helped put dictators in charge, and there was extreme human rights abuses. A lot of people couldn't eat, we sold them a lot of weapons, and that's basically what happened. We definitely added to this problem. Thank you for watching. If you like this type of content, please consider liking, subscribing, commenting, or becoming a channel member. I appreciate you. I hope you have a good day. I'll see you later.